What's happening, fam? L.A.R movement still moving. Subscribe or die trying. Here's the thing. As you see in the thumbnail, the coach from Gonzaga got a DUI. And it's all in the news. But at the same time, Clinton Porter's gotten a scandal. And I started thinking about this. Sometimes it's a racial thing. Sometimes it's a position thing. Where you find yourself in the scenarios, if you watch sports, that when coaches get in trouble, it isn't held to the same esteem as if players get in trouble. And even you remember when a guy here's an example, because I forgot it's the same team. Which one do you remember more? Chad Johnson and Evelyn Lozada, or the coach snorting cocaine? The coach is snorting cocaine in a hotel room with a stripper. Just saying. Same team, same organization, But you change the race, you change the position, as far as what I mean by position from player to coach or player to management, not so big of a deal. Does anybody remember when the owner of the Indianapolis Colts had a drug problem? Does anybody remember that? Does anybody remember that part? Like, we talk about all these players that have drug problems, but when the owner had a drug problem, it wasn't a big deal. You know what I'm saying? It just wasn't a big deal. Same thing with these DUIs. Well, this DUI. I think if it was, say, their best player last year who got a DUI before the NBA draft, I think the news would be much bigger. See what I'm saying? Oh, man, maybe you need to sit him. Maybe, it depends on how good the player is. Maybe he should lose his scholarship, or it's time to get rid of him. And this is the thing that goes on, players move on. Remember, remember when Rick Pitino got caught in the, it would be considered sex trafficking now. That's what it would be considered. But he got another job. Hey, man, let's let the past be the past. It's not a big deal. Nobody even went back to Me Too the man, right? But if those were players, wouldn't have went that way. All the players who got in trouble for, having, let's just say, not so stellar relationships with women. Even the Sean Oakman thing, when he got accused of something that he didn't do, and they didn't draft him. He wound up in the XFL. Same kind of Brian Banks type thing, right? But he literally would have been went from first round draft pick to nothing. And then, oops, my bad, I lied. Well, if you notice, this is not covered the same way, and it becomes a bit of a, you got to ask the question, so who should have more leeway? The older guys who should know better, or the younger guys who don't? You know what I'm saying? You would think the younger guys would have more leeway than the older guys, but they're held to a higher standard of responsibility than these guys in their 40s, 50s, and 60s and whatnot. Like, thinking about, with Joe Paterno and the Sandusky thing, but also the coach, what is the guy's name at Michigan State that was fondling all the doggone gymnasts? Now, he went to jail, Sandusky went to jail, and that was, supposed to be a cloud over the head of the university, but it doesn't really look like a cloud. You know what I'm saying? It doesn't really, people don't really bring it up like that. It's just not a big deal per se. But is it one of those things where time heals all wounds, or is it one of those things where, if you have the complexion for the protection, in time definitely just wipe that out. Because ultimately, if it was a player, the player probably would get suspended, or kicked off the teams. But the coach is not going to get suspended or kicked off the team. So there you go. Another thing that interests me about this is, at some point, one of these players are going to get in trouble, and because of this new name likeness NCAA deal where you get sponsorships and now you can be paid. Let's see if a player gets in trouble and they pull the sponsorship from them. Because if they pull the sponsorship from them, because that's not a good look. But they don't pull the jobs from these coaches, and it's a kind of bit hypocrisy. But because these coaches gonna still have sponsorship, also. So it's kind of like, for me, I'm like, I'm really intrigued by this type of stuff. So it is what it is. Like, share, subscribe, or die trying. Peace.